Good evening and welcome back to the channel. This video is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own research, make your own decisions. All right, guys, the long and the short of it is we need the DXY to fall. All right. And I'm not saying there's 100% inverse correlation that if the DXY falls, that means it's 100% certain that Bitcoin's going to go up. But you have seen the relationship between both of those markets over the last 3 months and even over the last 48 hours. So that's why I really haven't done any videos, because for the most part, we're in the exact same position that we have been for the last 3 months. And until we get out of these ranges, until the DXY gets out of these ranges and Bitcoin and crypto stocks, until all this becomes a little bit more clear, we're going to continue to be in a situation like this. So the good news is, all right, so let's just talk about both scenarios. Let's talk about if the DXY continues to move higher and if the DXY tops at, let's say, 111. So first, let's just say the DXY continues to move higher. DXY goes up around 120, bond yields continue to move higher, economic collapse situation is in play. And when I say in play, I mean it's going to happen if that lasts for any length of time. So that might be the way that they want to blow the system up. I don't know. I can't read their minds. I don't know how they're going to play this. I don't know. But assuming that that's how they're going to blow the system up. So let's assume the DXY is going to blow up past 111, up to 120 and higher, and that the bond yields are going to continue to move up. So in a situation like that, an economic collapse situation where they're going to blow up financial markets, blow up the economy, that doesn't, just because that's the environment, that doesn't create new options for me to put my capital. So I have cash, bonds, gold, silver, Bitcoin, crypto, real estate, stocks. I think I missed something, but that's generally the options. So when I'm looking out at those options, I ask myself some questions. What's the only asset class where, given the amount of capital that I have personally, where's the only asset class that I could put that capital where I could realistically retire within 5 years? Crypto. It's the only one. It's the only one that comes close to even having the potential for those type of returns to put me in that situation. So that's that. Now, okay, so that it has tremendous upside. Awesome. Well, what about the risk? Well, they're partnering with all the largest, most powerful institutions in the world, and their technologies working fully integrated synchronistically are going to serve as the new tech infrastructure for the new internet and financial system. So if this doesn't work out for the elites, we're facing an end of days type scenario, because they have actively destroyed the old system over the last 2, 3, 5, 20 years. So for risk, that's my assessment. We've already talked about the upside. It's the only option available for me personally, given the amount of capital that I have, where I could put it and realistically retire within 5 years. Now, it might take 6 years. It might take 7 years. It could take 3 years. But I already have enough right now to where I'm good. So I don't need to do anything. I don't need to buy anymore. And the only really way that I could screw this up is to sell. Now, I could sell and maybe make a swing trade and maybe make a little bit of a come up. And I could also go to sleep one night and the market pump the next day. I think it's a dead cat bounce. It continues to pump. I think it's going to drop any second, and it just continues to pump, and I am beat. So there's no incentive for somebody in my position to do anything other than just continue business as usual. If I already have enough right now, if I've already accumulated enough to retire at some point in time in the foreseeable future, next 5, 6 years, potentially sooner and potentially longer, doesn't make sense for me to do anything. So that's that. On top of that, if they're going to blow up the economy, and we're all talking, assuming that this is the big one. If they're going to blow everything up, if they're going to blow up financial markets, if they're going to blow up everything, and they're going to reset the system, and if this is the time period that they're going to do that, which it very well may be, it's going to happen at some point, maybe this is the time. I want to be in the new system. If they're blowing up the old system to roll out the new system, I want to already be in the new system. Well, somebody might say, well, the price could go down over the next 30 days. It doesn't matter for me. The amount of assets that I hold aren't going to go down, and it's not going to change where they're going to be in 5 years. Let's, again, speaking hypothetically that this is the big one, let's just say over the next 6 months, markets get annihilated. Bitcoin goes to 10K, Ethereum 400, and stocks, S&P breaks 3,000. All this just nightmare scenario. The price of the asset can go down on a screen, but at the end of the day, I still hold the same amount of assets. I'm still in the same long-term position that I was before. So markets could drop by 50% next week, today, right now. And it's not going to change where they're going to be in 5 years from right now, in 3 years from right now. So, yeah, it's kind of how I'm looking at it. So that's me. So even in an economic collapse situation, and I've mentioned this many, many times, for a year and a half, I've been saying the exact same thing. I've never changed my position. In an economic collapse situation, I want to be in the new system. If the old system's blowing up, I want to be in the new system. And I also have control over my assets. So that's another checkbox. When I'm looking at where I want to be and I'm going down the line and I'm looking at what's involved in being in that asset, and that includes dollars, crypto is the only place I can go where, given the capital that I have, I could realistically retire within 5 years, potentially less. I can hold my own keys, control my own assets. It's the new system, and the old system's blowing up, and it's endorsed, backed, being implemented by, partnered with all the largest, most powerful corporations in the world. So for me, it's a very, 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 and on top of that, we're talking about enterprise software companies leveraging blockchain technology in or relating to the payments industry. And for a living, I sell enterprise software in the payments industry. So from that aspect of it, being able to assess different tech companies and their use case differentiating factors, I feel like I'm confident in my ability to do that. So that's that. Now, you might come to a completely different conclusion if this is to be the big one, and that's fine. Okay. All right. Now, pause. Let's say this isn't the big one. All right. So in a situation where this is not going to be the big one, I would expect to see the DXY fall, and I would expect to see Bitcoin and crypto continue to go higher in a situation where the DXY falls. So it's that black and white for me. And yeah, I think it's either going to play out one or two ways. I think the DXY is going higher, breaking above its resistance, and is going to continue to move higher. And this is going to be the time period where they're going to collapse everything. Or it's going to get rejected, start coming back down, and Bitcoin and crypto are going to move higher. And I guess there's other ways in which this could play out, but I think that those are the overwhelming, those are the two most likely that I'm looking at. I don't, I guess they could move together for maybe a short period of time, but we'll see. So let's talk about Bitcoin and the DXY. DXY is sitting at 20-year resistance, Bitcoin sitting at, let's call it 10-year support. And when I say support, I'm talking around the 17K range. DXY is showing some technical signs of weakening. We have the weekly RSI setting lower highs for quite some period of time. We have a bearish divergence with the MACD for any of you technical people out there. And Bitcoin, lowest monthly RSI ever, lowest weekly RSI ever, below the 200-week moving average, broke below its previous all-time high. So we have, and despite all that, DXY can still go higher, Bitcoin can still go lower. So, but for me, when I'm looking at this, and I'm not trading this, and that's another thing too, guys, and I wish I would have mentioned this earlier, because I'm sure I'm going to have somebody do it in this video. They do it every single video, regardless of how often I reiterate that I don't trade. Guys, I'm not a trader. A lot of y'all comment to me as if I'm a trader. Like, when you're saying things like the market's going to tank this day or that day or this price point, this is my entry, so on and so forth. Guys, that's great. And I wish you all the success in the world. I mean that genuinely. There is a large percentage, 30, 40, 50% of people in crypto that have no interest in trading. They have no interest in trying to find the perfect entry point. They have no interest in selling every time something goes 2 or 3x. They are solely interested in accumulating as much as they possibly can so they can retire as soon as they possibly can. That's it. So understand that there's a large, now those people are underrepresented by content creators because for the most part, it's just dominated by traders. But I'm not a trader. So when you're talking to me about, well, this and that, that's great. That's great. That's a different world. Okay. Betting on which way the market's going to move is a drastically different world than betting on the long-term success of tech companies that are currently in implementation right now. So it's a drastically different world. In my personal opinion, and I think it make a strong case for this, betting on which way the market's going to go is kind of like playing blackjack to some degree. And if you listen to any trader, what will they tell you? They'll say you just have to be right more than you're wrong. That's it. And all that's great. All that's great. But for me, it's a low probability bet. I'm not saying it's a low probability bet for everybody. If you want to spend I have a full-time job. I have shit going on. So I don't have time to sit there and look at trades, say, okay, well, I'm going to get out here and then I'm going to get in here. Why? I've already accumulated enough. I don't have to do anything else. I don't need to find the perfect entry point. I'm already done. It's just a matter of waiting at this point. So I just want to mention that. Guys, I'm not a trader. So the next time, before one of you say, oh, what this and that, ask yourself, am I speaking from a trader's perspective? Because if the answer is yes, I'm not a trader. I don't know why that's a complicated thing. I don't know why I keep running into this. So I am not a trader. I openly say that regularly. I have no interest in trying to time markets. If you do, that's great. Best of luck. And that's that. So, quite frankly, I think you're in the wrong place. If you want to watch my videos, that's fine. The more the merrier. But understand that if you're going to be here, I'm not a trader. All right? So, that's that. I'm not sure what else I need to go over. That's what I'm looking at. There's just, again, there's no reason for me to do anything at all. At all. Even if this is the big one. If this is the big one, it only increases my sense of urgency to be fully in crypto. Because of the criteria that I went over earlier. It's the only asset class that I can realistically retire within 5 years. I have total control over my assets. It's the new system backed, endorsed, and financed by all the largest, most powerful corporations in the world. And it's in implementation right now. And it's the new system, and the old system's blowing up. So there's no incentive, there's no reason for me to even think about doing anything. And if you really want to know another reason why I haven't made a lot of videos recently, is that I have no fucking clue what people are looking at. I literally have no clue what people are looking at. I don't want to shoot out numbers on here about certain things, but I'm sure some of you are also in a position to where you've accumulated more than enough. And you don't need, and guys, I'm not talking about this as if I need everything in my portfolio to go 1,000x. I don't. Nowhere close. Even if this comes out to be on the conservative end of projections, even if quite a number of things in my portfolio fail, I'm still good. So I think that people should look at that for yourself. Because if you've looked at your portfolio, you've done conservative projections about price performance over the next 2, 3, 5, 10 years, and you're saying, I'm good, then you should take that into consideration when you're looking at everything else. You should ask yourself, what incentives, what's the upside and downside to anything that I do from here? Because once you get to that point where you have enough, it's just a matter of waiting. I don't know what the panic and freaking out is about. I don't, it doesn't make sense to me. It's like I'm watching people live in like this alternate universe where extremely important things don't matter and extremely trivial things are the most important things in the world. That's what it's insane. It really is. It is absolutely insane to me. So we'll see what happens. The good news is, let's just say, speaking hypothetically, they're going to blow everything up. We're probably going to be moving over much quicker than people anticipated, if that's the case. Don't know when price is going to reflect any of that, but, you know, I would imagine that we would be moving over sooner than people expected if this is going to be the big one. And it also aligns with what the corporations and governments are doing, more CBDCs being rolled out on a regular basis, and more corporations and financial institutions getting involved in the space. So that's all I got, guys. No real value to add. That's what I'm looking at. We'll see what happens. If anything crazy happens in the next 48 hours, I will do another video. So that's that. Take care. Have a good night. I'll see you next video.